douglAR Politics tonight, 7:30 p.m. Express newspaper, Keith Christopher Rowley, Simon de Nobrega. Get ready for some of the biggest lawsuits in the history of Trinidad and Tobago for defamation. Lies have been spewed across the board in untold manners. Keith Rowley and the Express have attacked Bastio Pandey, Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, Manohar Ramsaran, and Kamla Prasad Bisesa in the most disgusting, vile manner ever seen in Caribbean journalism and politics, to attack and lie on people about the Sabga Report into children, to say that it was hidden and destroyed. Well, you will hear the truth bit by bit tonight. Special edition, Trinidad and Tobago, log on, 7:30 p.m. douglAR Politics. The truth will be revealed. Our children are in harm's way. We are led by miscreants and liars. And to the Express, Rowley and de Nobrega, all you better get your court closed, because the truth is clear. And to accuse people so wrongfully and maliciously, we will deal with that tonight on douglAR Politics, 7:30 p.m. I promise, I nearly cuss. I didn't cuss. I won't cuss. But children are at risk. douglAR Politics tonight, 7:30 p.m.
This is douglAR Politics, yo. douglAR Politics. Listen, douglAR Politics, yeah. douglAR Politics. This is douglAR Politics, yeah. douglAR Politics. This is douglAR Politics. douglAR Politics. This is douglAR Politics, yo. douglAR Politics.
Good evening and welcome to douglAR Politics. The situation is just getting worse. Every single day, our country is going deeper into a chasm of incompetence, corruption, and PNM arrogance, oppression, and dictatorship. Just look at this in one day this week. The DNA of a PNM high official, it was stated and claimed on the record that it was found in Akil Chambers' body of a two PNM officials, one dead and one still alive. And then you have a PNM person saying, well, DNA wasn't used. The man said that they sent it away. The gentleman sent it to England for testing. You all like to make categorical statements. Then the government, the PNM government and the media seems not interested. The PNM government, Rowley and his mouthpieces that attack and lie on Kamla Prasad and Bisesa and the UNC on every point, lost the arbitration to OAS on the Point 14 highway. Rowley came in and stopped the highway and said, corruption, corruption. The highway now, people in traffic, they wasted money. OAS was fired and Rowley gallery all over. He lost $1 billion that he have to pay to a company because of his stupidity, his arrogance, and his lies. $1.8 million check deposited from a state company into the personal account of a minister who the Prime Minister Keith Rowley came out the day before and defend in some land issues about a special branch report. That same minister, Jayanti Lakshmidyal, held up and showed, and we'll discuss that coming. All of this in one day, 24 hours of PNM, disgusting corruption. And then they come and tell you, while they getting recusals, and they are the most corrupt government in history, that they come in to tax you and take more money from you to put in their pockets. That is PNM. So we'll start the douglAR Politics by telling you, I don't normally tell all of this, but call your friend, call your family, share the live, because if those still had doubt that Keith Christopher Rowley is the worst human being to ever be elevated to the office of Prime Minister in the history of the Commonwealth, after this douglAR Politics show, You cannot, if you do not come to that conclusion, then Lord alone could help you. Let me tell you something to all of you who like to talk the nonsense and weaken the UNC by your divisive, selfish ways to say, well, Kamala this and Kamala cannot win. And Kamala, well, you know, we want somebody more inspirational. We want a younger person. If Kamala Prasad Bisasa does not deserve to be Prime Minister based on her cabinet notes, her policies, her impact, her job creation, her attempts at keeping down the crime rate, her infrastructural development, her diversification, her keeping the energy sector going with Kevin Ramrine and so on, and you all want to make these sorts of flimsy excuses to divide the UNC to keep the devil in power. The devil, Rowley is the devil. When the show finish, when you all hear the dishonesty, the lies, the nastiness, the wickedness, and involving the most vulnerable, you all still want to make silly little excuses, then you are very dangerous if you still hold that opinion. And I'm talking to you, my people, my UNC, my opposition people. Stop it. A leader is only as strong as all of us. Stop trying to look for little niches for yourself. Nobody should have or want to get any job or position. You don't get a MP or you're not a senator. Or so what? There are areas to serve all across the board. Trinidad and Tobago needs all hands on deck, all brains on deck. Our children, our bright ones are leaving never to come back. So let's start the show, but share the live. All you know, I don't tell all of that. Share it, because we come in, Rowley. Archie, make sure I don't cuss today. Basically, because when it comes to children, sometimes you might have to hold me up, you might have to pause. Good evening and welcome to douglAR Politics. Shaka Hislop honored by Newcastle United. Former Trinidad and Tobago goalkeeper Shaka Hislop has received the city's Freedom of City Award in Newcastle. Hislop, who represented the Toons between 1995 and 1998, was given the honor for his role in forming the anti-racism charity Show Racism the Red Card. Well done, Shaka Hislop. His decision to help fight discrimination followed an incident in which he was subjected to racist insults at a gas station before the youngsters abusing him recognized him and asked for his autograph. Guardian Media Limited, MIC, support MAT training effort. This is ERA Matur, ERA PNM Matur, ERA PNM, who was with Asha Javid as the executive, and most of the executive has resigned because MAT has become a PNM party group. Them gone to Guardian Media to support their journalism training. Really? Guardian Media, the Balize Juice newspaper, the most corrupt newspaper in the Caribbean, along with the Express and the Newsday, that pretend to be impartial and the guardian of democracy, and every day I have to show you all their blatant bias that allows Keith Christopher Rowley to still exist in the prime ministerial office. Guardian Media, Matt, all you have no shame. ERA Matur, was it that under Kamala you wanted some big position outside and you were denied and rejected, and now you have sour grapes and you're sucking on it and it twisting up your mouth? Oh, take she down now, take she down. Let's take them PNM down, let them go the way now. So the way the PNMs go is the more questions and allegations against you, the higher you rise in the PNM. When you're a whistleblower and you do the right thing, you get fired and rejected, like the two NGC members, Alam and Balkisoon, who were fired and thrown out because they tried to save your money, or the PNM. Anil is now the new envoy to Guyana. Wasn't there something that come up with Jenny's on the boulevard and some investment and involved cash and questions about a year ago or 11 months ago? What happened with that? But Rowley ain't care about that. NGC make a loss for the first time in history under Anil. But Anil protected Rowley and Smallpin with their ridiculous attempts at trying to maintain and hoodwink the population and wasting and flushing $233 million down the toilet. with Atlantic Train 1 when they had full knowledge and information that it was wasting money and it had no future for that train. So Anil supports stupidity, incompetence, corruption and waste and gets promoted. He gets a next salary. He is now the envoy to Guyana too. Should Trinidad and Tobago welcome CPROD? Remember about a week ago I told you, as a patriotic Trinbagonian, I was kind of sad and upset that AS Bryden, one of our best performing companies of all time, distributors and so on, that it was up for sale and no Trini could have bought it. It was sold to a Jamaican company. But I've done some more research and I'm finding out that there are many good Trinbagonians involved as minor shareholders in that, and the Jamaican company is actually one that I could be proud of, and that they plan to come in here and to bring competition, especially in food. And the more competition that comes into Trinidad and Tobago to bring food prices down, the United National Congress, the douglAR, ANIL, all of we support that. So the PNM could try to defend and go into the parliament and create protective zones for their little chicken boy, Mute, right? And he could get monopoly on pharmaceuticals and so on. I also see that some of this involved here. He wanted to get one other element of the pharmaceutical industry to hold a total monopoly over you, the citizens of Trinidad and Tobago. So CPROD, Jamaica company, good company, the Trinis involved, proud of all you. Bring more competition to provide the people of Trinidad and Tobago with some sort of respite. Drop prices, bring competition, more competition, because the PNM is creating track for Guti to run, for the rich to get richer, and for you, the people, to suffer. So I welcome the purchase of AS Bryden by the major shareholder now, the Jamaican company CPROD, and I know some good Trinis who are on there too. Collapse of support at Claxton Bay. Newsday editorial, page 12, Monday, May 16. Remember, Member of Parliament David Lee was fighting for these people as the PNM's EMBD was doing indiscriminate quarrying and not doing it properly and scientifically, and people were losing their houses were moving. One man's house totally gone and fell down and mashed up and so on, and Donna Cox went with she weave, tell them all kind of promises and nothing came. Here, the Newsday editorial, and the Newsday can never be accused of being UNC. Collapse of support at Claxton Bay. The Estate Management Business Development, EMBD, has failed to compassionately address the disastrous collapse of homes at Claxton Bay, where 6 houses have been either destroyed or at risk of imminent collapse since a landslip in September 2021. Social Development Minister Donna Cox visited 4 days later to offer affected residents rental assistance grants and a coordinated relief response to the tragedy. That did not happen. So Donna Cox went down there to take a picture and nothing else happened. The EMBD letter acknowledged a danger to life and property in the first official identification of the area as a potential disaster zone. They did that, the EMBD, the PNM EMBD, in response to a lawyer letter from Prakash Ramadai. 6 homes and 15 residents have been affected by the land slippage. And 7 months after Mr. Garcia's home slid down the hillside, the EMBDC is yet to demonstrate either compassion or concern for the challenges of these families face. The lack of concern or tangible assistance to these families is not a good look for the EMBD. No, Newsday. It's not a good look for the PNM EMBD, for the PNM government, for the EMBD appointed by Rowley's PNM, the PNM EMBD. Don't try to keep separating this heartless, incompetent government. The government includes these state-run companies, statutory boards, and special purpose companies. They are run by government, guided by government, funded by government, outfitted by government, HR resourced by the government. It is not a good look for the PNM under Rowley. Your newspapers are so sick. I really wonder how all of you sleep. The lack of concern of tangible assistance in these families is not a good look for the EMBD. And the fact that they took a legal letter for it
Even to offer to do something about the situation is even worse. To offer a few months' rent is to toss them a crumb where they're expected to live for the rest of their lives now that their homes are gone or unlivable. But that's what the P&M does. Heartless. What about the divers? Where the Commission of Inquiry? How long has the evidence been tampered with? What about the families? Have they received assistance, counseling, support, compensation? Nothing? Isn't that heartless? Isn't that the same vain Newsday? What about the COVID-19? 4,000 citizens dead. People who could have been saved. The government, as Tim Gopi Singh said, not spending money on life-saving medication, and the CMO coming to say that's a government decision. The ministry will decide whether they find it important to buy medicine to save citizens' lives. And you all find this is just funny. What about the Jones report? Jones report that was into the P&M since December 13, 2021, in the hands of Rowley, Ayanna Webster Roy, and the Office of the Prime Minister and the Cabinet since December 13, 2021, showing clear acts of murder, battery, assault, violence, brutality on children. And up to now, as we speak, Keith Rowley has taken no action whatsoever. You don't find that heartless? Minister, school violence on the decline. Archie, run a video now. Just run a video. The minister says school violence on the decline. Watch that.
One, two, three, ding, ding, ding. Yeah, I'm selling out for short.
School violence on the decline. This is just from the last 3 days since the last show. I didn't bring back any old videos from the first 2 days of school. This is school violence on the decline. Our girls, our future mothers, look at them. Our ladies. This is what is happening across the board. And they had to mute the volume. Archie had to say he had to mute the volume because there had too much cussing. Archie and all never hear so much cussing. But the Education Minister, Dr. Nyan Gatsby Dolly, says school violence is on the decline. Oh, Lord. Young, Stuart Smallpin Young, it wasn't enough for him to go on CNN and lie. He come in the parliament to lie and say that Petrotrin, the refinery, was a drain on the treasury. Now, anybody who understands what took place at Petrotrin will know that the Malcolm Jones decisions from the P&M 2002 to 2010, the attempts and the wastage of money on World GTL and so on, $13 billion, when Malcolm Jones was an executive chairman of Petrotrin, which meant he was like the CEO, and he made the worst investment in the history of Trinidad and Tobago, and money was lost to the tune of $13 billion, and that was saddled around the neck of Petrotrin. And all of Petrotrin's money would have to go to debt servicing to pay off that loss because nothing came up. And the P&M pulled him out of court, and Stuart Smallpin Young was his attorney before he became Minister of Everything. and the Privy Council had to laugh at Trinidad and Tobago and was astounded at the raw politics and nothing, no justice, the UNC and Kamala had this man in court to try and recoup some money, about $1 billion to recoup, and they were taken out of court. And this has to do with the Nelson also. Nelson, who had given a deep, detailed senior counsel analysis to go to court, then gave an unwarranted, requested paragraph to say, yeah, come out. When the PNM was there with Al-Rawi, and Stuart Smallpin Young still get his fees, and now comes into the parliament to tell you that the Petrotrin was a drain on the foreign exchange. When you all know that Petrotrin was a foreign exchange earner up to $2 billion. Well, let's try to listen and read to what Stuart Smallpin Young tried to tell you in the parliament. He said, Young disagreed with the UNC and said the former state-owned refinery was a drain on the country and had started losing more money than it was making. He said the cost of importing, so it started losing more money than it was making. When it started doing that, not your PNM, not your client, not the money that you had to pay back without generating 1 iota of diesel or any production from the 13 billion loss. He then went on to say, the cost of importing and refining crude oil was no longer economical, along with the cost of maintaining and operating the refinery. Really? Many things there. First and foremost, your PNM government under Colm Imbot cut all the maintenance and preparation for all the wells that was going on under the UNC. So therefore, daily oil production on land in Trinidad went down from somewhere like 65,000 barrels per day down to 25,000 barrels because of the lack of investment by your government. This meant that we had to import more crude. So this man, in order to keep the refinery going, but he then goes on to say that the Young went to state that it's a complete false proposition to suggest that if the refinery was open, the fuel subsidy would be lower. Well, that's idiotic and asinine in the extreme. But then he is a dunce even as an attorney. So when he started to talk energy, you all better get ready for laughs. He further stated, the country ought to know that in order for Petrotrin to pay for its significant volume of imported crude oil needed at the refinery, the company drew down an average of US $650 million a year in short-term debt. Petrotrin was drawing down an average of US $650 million a year to buy crude oil to put into the refinery, said this one. How does that equate to net foreign exchange earner? Yes, you dishonest clown. So we bought, let's follow you, you silly, stupid, small-minded imps. So he tells you, Petrotrin, because his government was not producing enough oil per day to keep the refinery working at a good capacity, a high percentage of output in order to make money. When Kevin Ramnarine was there, we were producing 92,000 barrels of oil per day. When his government came in by 2017, that was down to 25 or 30,000 barrels per day. So they had to buy. Okay, but follow me now, my people. So he tells us we had to buy 650 million US worth of crude oil to put into the refinery to refine and make products. But he does not say how much we sold, the products that we made from the 650 million US, how much we sold them and exported them for, and how much revenue we made from that raw material that was imported. So this fool goes in the parliament and say, well, yes, we had to buy raw material. We buy crude oil, 650 million. And he stopped there and say, how is that a net foreign currency earner? These people feel you're a complete idiot, so he just leave out half the equation, because what the refinery did was take the 650 million US in crude oil and refined it into other products and sold them, some at a markup of 35%. So what we would have seen was that 650 million US would have given back approximately 1.1 billion US, and therefore a net earner of some 500 million US. But the problem was that your client Malcolm Jones had the company strangled with debt and balloon payments that were coming on stream that had to be paid. And you went and shut down the Lashley report, the McKinsey report, the Solomon report. None of them said to shut down. Winfred Espini and his board never said shut down. Rowley and you shut it down. Why? Because a man who love all you like hog in mud, what he tell all you? He love all you like hog, love mud. The man want to wine bareback and make you his wife. You look like you'll make a good wife, you clown. So ladies and gentlemen, that's the kind of lies and stupidity that these people come to tell you. He come to just tell you that Petrotrin and Refinery had to buy raw material. He here tell you nothing but what they did, what products they make with the raw material, and how much they make when they sell them products. That don't account. It just lose US. That's the kind of stupidity passing off as government ministers now. And just to prove to you, put up an image there, just to show you, Archie, put up that memo that fishermen and friends of the sea, they did have freedom of information. And listen very carefully, because Stuart Smallpin Young said in the parliament, they make a loss, and they basically, the government had to be giving subventions, and therefore Petrotrin could not be sustainable. Well, look at this. 6 December 2021, Fishermen and Friends of the Sea asked for information, and this is read a Freedom of Information request pursuant to the Freedom of Information Act. The matter had captioned, the subvention paid to Trinidad and Tobago Petroleum Company Limited, Petrotrin, over the period 2016 to 2019. Okay? So let's see what subvention, what sort of deficit, what sort of loss making was going on, that it was a drain on the taxpayers and the treasury. Let's see. 2016, nil. Was that a nil? Is nil? Or is that nil meaning zero, Archie? And zero subvention. Isn't that there? Zero from the Ministry of Finance and zero from the Ministry of Energy. 2017. What's that? Nil. That means zero. That means Smallpin and Rowley and them lie. Nil again from both. And 2018. Nil and nil. But what's that in 2019? Oh my goodness. Like they didn't lie. Look. Maybe look, they had to pay something there. $1.218 billion. And then 169 million subvention drain on the taxpayer. But wait, the refinery closed in 2018. So what's this? What's this? Oh, the drain came from the closure, because this subvention and the money that you, the taxpayers, had to pay out, while previously when the refinery was open was nil. Under Rowley's PNM and Smallpin, the liar just like Rowley, look what happened. You had to pay $1.4 billion because they shut it down, because they went against all the experts, all the brain, all the intelligence, and shut down the refinery. And then the foreign exchange crunch really began, because Petrotrin was a net earner of foreign exchange up to $2 billion US. I'm not done there. Let's go on. I didn't want to go to all 65 pages of the Hansard, but let's put up an image of Mr. Fitzroy PNM Harewood. This one. Look what he said on April 25th, 2016 in the Parliament in a joint select committee, because Stuart Smallpin Young is trying to tell you that Petrotrin, the refinery, was a drain on the treasury. But let's hear what PNM Mr. Harewood has to say. Very intelligent person who is experienced in energy, not like the dumb emailgate lawyer that is Smallpin. So you all decide who you're going to believe. If you're going to believe the Ministry of Finance, who just gave you all that information, and Mr. Harewood. But interestingly, and I want to pay full commendations to the refinery team, we are at a point today where our refinery is doing far better than we ever experienced in a long time. And as recent as this morning, the refinery was doing 165,000 barrels per day. For the month of March, we produced as much as 153,000 barrels per day of refined products. And we were able to sell 154,000 barrels per day of refined products. So that is for us a bright spot to suggesting to us, with that diligence and hard work and really focus, we can turn the business into a profitable entity, even with the yoke, that profitable entity he's talking about. If you eliminate it, come back to me now, Archie. If you took away the Malcolm Jones debt, the $13 billion, the lump sum, the balloon payments of Malcolm Jones and the PNM, corrupt, ridiculous, disgusting investment that brought not $1. If you take that out, Petrotrin would have been a diamond, earning super profits. That 153,000 barrels and so on of product that they made, refined to sell, that was good enough to even compensate for the increased choking cost of Malcolm Jones and Rowley's PNM. And they come to tell you that Petrotrin was a net user and was sucking up foreign exchange. They are total pathological liars. And then on top of that now, Rowley says a preferred bidder for the refinery has been selected. Really, Rowley? I thought the refinery was so bad, it had no money, it can't make, and it has sat down there now going on 4 years. So the amount of expense that has to be done to get that plant back up, and all the bolts and nuts, everything have to be changed and greased out, everything had to be cleared out and cleaned out. Here, Rowley, a preferred bidder for the Guacara refinery has been selected, says Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley. He revealed during a Prime Minister's question time in Parliament. Really? This man who you all elect, not only as a human being is he totally detestable, but as an intelligent person, he does not exist. His intelligence was in stones. He's a geologist, and even that he don't know about. He comes now to tell you when there is an opportunity in the cannabis industry, medicinal cannabis and so on, that PNM have Trinidad and Tobago last, everybody else making millions. It's going to be a $50 billion US industry that could also be designed to help the youths, the black youths on the ground, the young people in farming, cultivating and so on, generating businesses and becoming entrepreneurs, but not for Rowley and the PNM. The rich must get richer, and the new society of the PNM is that you, the people, must wean yourself off the government so they could get more recusals. That's Rowley's new society. But Rowley, this is your Prime Minister, on the doorstep of an opportunity in Trinidad and Tobago where our children are fighting, as he said, like hyenas in an African jungle. And since he's the Prime Minister, the hyenas multiply. Here's what he says. Now, that is widely opened up and legal in larger economies. I am skeptical, says Rowley, of the role that we can play in an industry of that nature, given the kinds of competition that we are up against. For me personally, it's not something I have any experience in. I'm simply an administrator dealing with it. And what I see as a role is a brand or niche marketing. I wonder what kind of industry small states like ours can have once it's opened up like that. It's a huge business that is already established, and we should look for some role in it, like how we have our different rum brands, he said. I am not overly optimistic, while I'm cautiously optimistic that we can have a little niche in it. Doesn't that sound exactly what he said about food security and agriculture? That's why we have done nothing in agriculture, and our food import bill keeps rising even though we have no US dollars because he closed down Petrotrin. And he and Smallpin negotiated with the upstreamers that broke the margins of NGC and made NGC on top of that make losses, which put further pressures on the foreign exchange availability. Y'all, this is not funny. Saddam Hussein suspended for 7 days for gross disorder in the house. I would love to see this gross disorder of Member of Parliament Saddam Hussein, a good, disciplined, intelligent lawyer who is also a devout Muslim. Archie, please show me this gross disorder that Saddam Hussein did according to Madame Blue Hair. Run it.
You have in Guyana, why don't? You have in Guyana, why don't go to Guyana if you want to be in Guyana? As a member of parliament in the Parliament of Trinidad and Tobago, you're always talking about Guyana and Barbados. If you're unhappy here, you're free to go. Nobody has tied you here. Don't come and talk to me about me and what. I am the Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago, and I speak for Trinidad and Tobago, and I look after Trinidad and Tobago's interests. And if you have interest in Madam Speaker, what is offensive about this? This is the member who disgraced us in New York.
Prime Minister.
You are the only member of any government.
Prime Minister.
The only member of any government that met with.
Order! Order! Member for Nafrima.
And in order 48-6, the Prime Minister is imputing improper motives to me. And I am an honorable man.
Do you have I overruled. Do you have another question?
What is happening in this parliament, especially with the standing orders that are being raised?
1 minute. 1 minute.
Member for Baratara-San 1. Member for Baratara-San 1. I'm speaking to you. Please give me the respect at least looking up. When I rule. Okay, I want you to apologize for what you just said, or you suffer the consequences of not apologizing. All of us are most probably very tired in here today.
Madam Speaker, I apologize and allow me to...
Member, that is not an apology. Put down your papers, watch me and apologize.
Madam Speaker, Madam Speaker, I would like to end my contribution.
Thank you very much. Minister of Finance. The member for Baratara-San 1, Mr. Saddam Hussein, is hereby suspended from this House for 7 days.
Now, you all might find that's funny or that's a joke. That is the most ridiculous thing. Who the hell she feels she is? And why, what she's suspending a member of parliament duly elected by the people of Trinidad and Tobago doing his job for what? What was gross misconduct? When Fitzgerald sit down there and calling people idiot and dotish, when Rowley carrying on, she on her feet for about a whole minute, he ignores her and carries on in the most vile way. No suspension, nothing. Saddam Hussein must watch you in your face and apologize. Well, you like the man or what? You want something, Blue Hair? Boy, all you're lucky I'm not downstairs, boy. But Blue Hair, something had to be wrong with you. You're a school teacher, you feel Saddam is Newman George. Who you feel you talking to? But look at you and give you respect. You respect the parliament. You are the worst speaker in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Bar none. None. But anyway, I hope the people watching it. And when you're talking about PNM, here this next one. The PNM living in a dream world. A man who's the worst minister of water, nobody getting water, only water truck going on, more water wasting than water drinking, water messing up all over the place, leaks increasing across the board, mash up, nothing working, 16% of people getting 24/7 supply. If it wasn't for the Salcott, we would have get 0%. Because at least the Salcott that the UNC brought, which was for energy sector, and the PNM crashed the energy sector, and now at least the water is there to provide people with life-saving, life-giving water because of the United National Congress and the Salcott. And Rowley and his boys, Shepherd and Nanga, were found lying on the Salcott. But this man who knows nothing about water did not even know that leaks break pressure. He's proud, he wants people, he wants children to be like him. Marvin Gonzalez, Minister man, Nobody want their child to be dumb like you. Run it and run it. All you feel like is joke I making, run it.
I feel very proud to be a minister in the government of the People's National Movement. Because when you look on this side, Madam Speaker, when you look on this side, you see a vast difference when compared to those who sit on the other side. Look.
Every day, story. I want to know if it belongs to Dominica. Because we want to know if it's water.
Coast Guard on our water. There is state resistance.
Provided by His Highness.
Can you spell the word blanchisseurs for me?
B-L-A-N-C-H, Blanche, E-S-S-I-E-U-R, Blanchisseur, E-S, somewhere close there.
And therefore, one, you can put us before the young boy and the young girl and say you can aspire to be a Marvin Gonzalez.
And I never imagined that leaks could have prevented people from getting an efficient water supply because it breaks down pressure and the water cannot go to communities on the upper levels.
I certainly cannot go on further when come to members opposite.
What you're doing here, you're not supposed to be here. This is not the place for you.
These people delusional. Marvin Gonzalez, who the hell want their child to be like you? Oh Lord! No. Marvin Gonzalez, look what you giving people to drink. Archie, show them the tutu water now. Run it.
There we go. This is Wasa's water right now. And the minister is boasting about how much improvements we have in. Minister should go and should go jump inside of this. He and the whole government.
This is water from Wasa to drink. Imagine this, watch at this.
And under you, minister man, imagine them people with the tutu water, them better off than 84% of the country who have no water because you can't get them water. And you saying somebody proud to be you are incompetent, useless, you have performed the worst in history. So you are telling me that a father will watch his son and say, son, I want you to be a dunce. I want you to be the biggest dunce that Dunsert could ever bring. I want you to finish last in every test you have. I want you when you race and you run or you swim to be the worst. I want you to come last and get and finish your race 2 minutes after the winners because I love you to be like Marvin. Be like Marvin. Be like the Minister of Man. Be a dunce. You really think people are going to tell their children that Marvin Gonzalez, Minister of Man, after you leave beaten people in tutu water for 7 months? Look, on top of that, maggot-infested sewage continues to flow through residents' properties as Monterey Post San Fernando, causing several pensioners and children to fall sick. That you, Minister Man, never before that you could list all the ministers of public utility. You dead last. No child want to be like you. Imbot's bright media review. This is why the PNM, this is why we have people like that. And let me just tell Marvin Gonzalez, when you look across the aisle, you're seeing Kamla Prasad Bisesa, senior counsel. You are seeing David Lee, brilliant. You're seeing Dr. Lakram Bodo, Dr. Rai. You're seeing Dr. Munilal. You're seeing Saddam Hussein, Khadija Amin. You're seeing brilliant, intelligent people on the other side. You're seeing Rudy Indar Singh. You're seeing brilliance. You're seeing Anita Haynes. Don't get tired, boy. You ever watch yourself in the mirror? You and Fitzgerald, Ethelbert and Rowley and Smallpin and Al-Rawi, the biggest bunch of them. Simon the Nosebreaker. What is the fella name from Grandy? We don't even know his name. We forget his name. And you talking about your side? The biggest bag of dunce in the history of the Parliament of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago. You all are delusional. So you really believe? Look at the Guardian. Ladies and gentlemen, and share the live because I come into the children thing just now. I come into Rowley and his disgusting lie and the Express newspaper just now. Listen to the Guardian. Y'all out there, y'all living it, y'all know the pain, y'all know the pressure, y'all know the job loss, y'all know you can't get foreign exchange, y'all know the food price inflation, y'all know that this is the worst economy in the history of Trinidad and Tobago. Imbot's bright mid-year review, says the Guardian editorial Tuesday, May 17. The presentation was positive and upbeat. It was the only bit of heartening news of keeping afloat, and we will still to stimulate the economy. The finance minister also declared that petrochemical companies were proving to be a life jacket. In fact, the economy performed so much better than forecasted. All of this, the Guardian, you know, but then they come here with a little bit of truth. Here, the Guardian. Unfortunately, the sad reality is that while more oil and gas dollars than initially expected are rolling in. That has nothing to do with the government. That is because Putin went to war with Ukraine and their supply chain problems. End of story. What Colm Imbot had to do with that? You're trying to say that's well done government? What have they done domestically to ease anything, to prepare us, to diversify, to decrease our food import bill? What have they done? Guardian, how can you all write these things and then go and sleep? They say the sad reality is that the high level of crime, poverty, and general fall in the standard of living for some citizens, for nearly all except the PNM who get in contract, grabbing land or getting recusals from any economic benefit which may accrue. That's what this Guardian is trying to tell you. That there's hope in the PNM. That Imbot is not a complete blithering idiot. No, there's hope. Look at the Guardian. Out of the slump. Really? Tell that to the 6,000 businesses that will never open up again. Tell that to the 123 people who lost, 1,000 people who came off the NIB rolls. Tell that to all the people who are suffering from crime, criminality. Tell that to the 30% of people living below the poverty line. Tell this to the people who cannot go in the grocery. Tell this to all the people that PNM cut all the food cards, the funding, the laptops, the education. Tell this to all the children who cannot go to university because the PNM cut gate from 726 million down to 300. This is what the Guardian does. Out of what slump? And what we're just in a slump. Oh gosh, no big thing. We're not in a crisis. We're not in the worst economic times ever. The PNM didn't shatter the energy sector. The NGC didn't make a loss for the first time. The refinery is still closed down, but that's okay. We're just in a slump. The PNM didn't just waste over $1 billion on an arbitration with OAS. We ain't do nothing. We're not in traffic and low productivity. COVID-19, we had Delta, Brazilian, normal variant, Omicron, every variant, 4,000 people dead. The hospitals were in a mess and still in a mess. The Central Block money waste, 150 million. The next one, the Creek Crack at 200 million. They're building a highway into the bush with a big roundabout in Valencia. 200 million gone. Corruption rife. Now we just in a slump. And Guardian, we're in a slump. Okay. But residential property tax to start before December 31st. All you vote for PNM, tax. All right, well, okay. $2 billion budget surplus, energy windfall, says Imbot. And the Newsday prints that along with the Guardian, telling you a rosy picture. But windfall, Archie, the PNM cabinet, like they don't talk. And a man went on CNN and say, well, it's not really a windfall. But Imbot come and a few days later and ball, windfall. Run the video.
What do you do with it? I mean, what are you going to do? You know, I mean, to the extent that the windfall that you are enjoying is tremendous amounts of revenue.
Well, Richard, I wouldn't put it as tremendous amounts of revenue. You know, as a government, what you're doing is you're really making those revenue increases off of taxation, so you wait for it to come in.
What do you do with it?
Oh, but Imbert says a windfall, tremendous amounts of revenue. Really? Really? Point Lisa's operating at 30% capacity, but you're all going to expand the port at Point Lisa's and so on, expand something that you cannot utilize. But then the Newsday comes, economic plan lacking vision. You see, they give you a picture. That's the general masses. So the masses who are more important to vote, they give them this. Right? Because not everybody have time to go and read the editorial on page 12. Okay? So they give you this. I'm just showing you how wicked and malicious these newspapers are. 2 billion budget surplus with a smiling Dwayne, right? But then they come in here and they write the truth. How many people are going to read this? What percentage? So if they sell 25,000 papers down from 49,000, right? Everybody is going to see that picture. How many people are going to read this out of those 29,000? 10,000 maybe, okay? But this part, they write the truth. Economic plan lacking vision. Government MPs in Parliament on Monday voted to give Finance Minister Colm Imber an unlimited speaking time for this mid-year budget review. But in the end, though Mr. Imbert's time was not limited, his vision for the economy was implied by the evidence of his presentation was. What? Let me read that over. But in the end, though, Mr. Imbert's time was not limited. His vision for the economy, as implied by the evidence of his presentation, was. It was a presentation lacking in depth. Instead of outlining a strong strategy to wean the economy off the petrochemical sector, it relished our reliance on volatile oil and gas prices. Instead of setting clear benchmarks for the way forward, it offered the piecemeal and the short term. So the Newsday is now understanding the incompetence that they fooled the people into electing because merit never mattered. Munilal asked government to come clean on $1 billion debt to OAS. Rowley and Small Pain, the PNM, shouted, vote for the PNM. Point Fortin Highway, corruption, ridiculous, UNC, old thief. They went to arbitration, and the PNM government that sent all the horses, not like how they did not fight against their own PNM, Ashton Ford and them. They did not put in a defense. They didn't put in statements. They didn't send any lawyers. And Ashton Ford and the other PNM bigwigs getting money. Are they going to appeal that case? Very interesting. But the PNM sent out the big forces, the big battalion to go and show UNC corruption. Never mind y'all driving on a lovely smooth highway that if Kamala was there, you could have drive straight down to Cedras, eh? And the PNM lost $1 billion of your money. And yet you hear that like a secret. Run the video, Archie. All you pay attention, you know.
To the government, that commission, in light of your $1 billion loss, Madam Speaker, in light of their $1 billion loss at the London Court of Arbitration, they must now suspend and dissolve that commission of inquiry into the South Highway and focus on the debt you owe. You owe $1 billion, you want $5 million plus to go now and go now for a commission of inquiry. That is a scandal that will be remembered for 100 years in this country. Today, we could have had a highway all the way to Point Fortin. You could have jumped in a car by Ryson Road, and the next time you saw a traffic light was in Point Fortin. The next time. They stopped it with every, iota of energy they had. And $1 billion we lost in the arbitration, April 16, 2022. That has further implications. You see, OS is also owing local contractors. And you need to look now at the litigation that will arise. If you thought now Malco was joke, you will have to sell about 3 ferry to pay the money you owe now. NIDCO owes to OS.
And they want to have a commission of inquiry to spend more legal fees and more taxpayer dollars while they're taking food card from you and you cannot get fuel subsidy. But they lost $1 billion, meaning their case was weak. It was rubbish, it was lies, and it was falsehoods. That's why they lost. Now talking about falsehoods, Foster, you better call the psychologist and the therapist, boy. Foster, you're going to have to spend a lot of time in therapy, because if the therapy, when the special branch report came out and saw the light of day and you crumbled and you needed a tissue to wipe your tears and you needed counseling, Foster, well, boy, you're going to need 5 extra sessions per week, because what Jayanti Lakshmidian unearthed on a Monday night virtual here again. My goodness, Foster. Foster, you serious? Foster, something wrong with you, boy. Run it, Archie.
It has come to my attention that in 2020, just before the general election, that Minister Foster Cummings sent someone on his behalf to make a deposit into Venture Credit Union Cooperative Society Limited of $1.8078626 million. Now, this, let me show you the source of funds declaration. Could you all pull up that? Being pressured to give this contract to Rivulet. But Rivulet was doing some work apparently for MTS back in 2019, 2020, thereabouts. And this check dated the 22nd of July, 2020. The next image shows the check. And that check went straight in on the next day, the 23rd, into Venture Credit Union. Now you see the check there is not made out to Rivulet Investment, it is made out directly to Venture Credit Union. And in the source of funds declaration, the exact amount on that check was deposited into the account because it asks member information. It doesn't say Rivulet, it does not say Pical, although the person depositing it gives the employer and so on as Pical. It goes into the bank account of Minister Foster Cummings.
Foster. Well, MTS was asked some questions, Foster. Yes, where Rowley right on your big belly, and you and Rowley sharing bundles and bundles. Now it's bundles of problems, bundles of checks, bundles of dollars. Foster, the story get worse for you, Foster, because MTS, after Jayanti Lakshmidian bust that, the Express went to MTS, a state company, a P&M company, and his Rowley girl, Lazarus, who is the chairperson there, and they taking loans from Small Pin Brother Company that is the CEO and so on. The National Maintenance, Training and Security Company, MTS, has confirmed that 1.8 million was paid to Venture Credit Union for works done by a private company whose director is the wife of a senior government official. MTS said it made the check payable to Venture Credit Union at the request of the private company. Well, MTS, you have a lot of questions to answer also. Jackie Lazarus, Miss P&M Rowley, campaign manager, best friend, and other things. Really? That's how it works? A contractor could ask you to make a payment to something other than the contracted company? Really? With taxpayers' dollars? That's how it works? Jackie Lazarus, MTS board, P&M? Well, let me continue. It's here on the Express, page 3. Asked to confirm whether the company was awarded two contracts for emergency works on the Couva Secondary School. But foster everything in Couva, boy. Couva Secondary School. And for how much MTS said, they said 3 contracts were in fact awarded to the company in respect of emergency works on the Couva Secondary School. Questioned why the check was made on Venture Credit Union and not to the private company, MTS said it did so by request, by letter dated July 30th, 2020. What happened on August 10th, 2020? Was there an election? And MTS, Jackie Lazarus, Rowley appointed chairperson of MTS, is saying that they're paying 1.8 million to this fella wife company that had a contract to do work, and they didn't pay it to the company that was contracted who won the tender or however they get the work, but they paid it to the Venture Credit Union based on a request by this man's wife. So she say, don't pay it to my company that is doing the work. Pay it to Venture Credit Union. Well, let's go on and see what else. Questioned on whether MTS was aware that the Venture Credit Union account is the personal account of the government official, MTS said it made payment to the financial institution requested by the company. The check was made in the name of Venture Credit Union and not to a personal account, and MTS was not aware that any payment was made to a personal account. Well, here's some other problems. Venture Credit Union, y'all have some explaining to do, because financial rules are very serious. I wonder who is the chairman of Venture Credit Union. Actually put him up there, because this man, what's his name? Hayden Ferreira. Hayden Ferreira. Let me turn to you, Hayden Ferreira. This is douglAR. My name is Anil Roberts. How are you, sir? Are you the chairman of Venture Credit Union? How was it possible that Venture Credit Union received a payment from a government agency, MTS, having done no work, or Venture Credit Union is not a client, or there's no savings or any loan payments from MTS? What is Venture Credit Union doing accepting a payment for which they have no idea or concept of what, or not involved contractually in any way, sir? Secondly, when Venture Credit Union got this money, where was it deposited, and was it deposited into the account of a now senior government official and minister, and how was that done? What were the source of funds paid? Because a senator, and I'm a senator and a former minister, is called a publicly exposed person, and we have to do many forms and fill out source of funds, especially for large amounts like $1.8 million. What were the processes that were implemented by you at Venture Credit Union to check this against money laundering, corruption, bribery, and so on? The laws of Trinidad and Tobago meant to protect the people and the taxpayers' money. Is it the normal process for Venture Credit Union to accept checks on behalf of companies and just put it into personal accounts? Is that what you would consider good banking practice? Would someone else be able to say that possibly that could be considered money laundering based on the information that we have? We need a statement from you, sir, Mr. Hayden Ferreira. Please explain. And after you explain, I think your resignation and the board resignation and all the other depositors of Venture Credit Union will await your resignation. You cannot be serious. Leave him there, no? Hayden Ferreira, you have some questions to answer. And I know that all banking people working in bank and credit union, watching with all your eye open. Really? Venture Credit Union just accepts a check from a state agency just so? Without any contract, you do no work, you know what? And then you deposit it into a senator, then to be MP account, into a minister now. You just do that based on what? How you do that? Do you know that there are laws that have been created to prevent that? Mr. Venture Credit Union, Hayden Ferreira, all you ask this, are you waiting to read your answers to all these questions? You know, Mr. Man, I'm really waiting. Movie. And Prime Minister Keith Rowley, put the next clown, put up Rowley. Rowley slams the opposition for mischief on Foster. Oh my goodness, mischief. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley yesterday accused the opposition of mischief and of being antsy as he was peppered with questions on the contents of the special branch report, which made allegations against Youth Development and National Service Minister Foster Cummings. What is wrong with you all, said Rowley. What have you all been eating and drinking that have you so antsy? The Prime Minister said, if the member could assist me by pointing to one sentence, one comma, one iota of any document that implies that this has been done, I will try to assist him until he can do so. The answer is no. So you're defending Foster with the special branch report, but you didn't know about this now. And your girl Jackie Lazarus. So on both sides, Lazarus and Foster now. So Rowley, talk to your boy. MTS pays into the account of a credit union for a company that was contracted to do work. Rowley, that's how it works. State money, taxpayers' money, just pay it to whoever the people feel to say where to put it and to deposit it, and it ends up in the personal account of your cabinet member, your MP for Lauketa Talparo, your Minister of Youth appointed by you. Look, I ain't eat nothing or drink nothing. I ain't getting antsy because I know you're miscreant. And a miscreant like you encourages miscreants around you. Answer these questions now. Look at you big clown. Next to look at that, the MTS CEO, Lennox Ratan Singh. You have questions to answer to. Clarence, don't be smiling because you might have some answers to answer to. And Foster, your skin in your plate. Very red. Great is the PNM. Great is the PNM. Wife get contract, pay money from Rowley, girl who's the chairman of MTS, into a venture credit union and into a senator and a candidate for the PNM Lauketa Talparo, 1.8 million into an account. Hayden Ferreira, you was missing from that picture, but you had thing to answer. And to everybody at Venture Credit Union, wow. What say y'all when a banking financial institution, trust and confidence is so important because people have to believe in you to deposit their money. Venture Credit Union, I am waiting. I am waiting for explanations. I'm waiting for action, decisive action, because if this is the leadership at the credit union, if I have a little kakada, can I feel safe to put my money in an institution that operates in this manner? I'm not sure. I await statements from Venture Credit Union and Mr. Hayden Ferreira. Your skin in here look like Balize skinning up in your nose. You will answer. This country is sick. And then you have youth agricultural program, homestead, and so on in the hands of Foster Cummings. A man who have to answer all them questions about the $1.8 million in the venture credit union with Pical and the wife company, and also have to answer about the special branch investigation, a secret report that he was under investigation by police, and Rowley sees it fit to promote him to the cabinet and as an MP and a minister of youth, and then he in charge of land to hand out to youths across this country. Do you all feel that Foster will live up to the Constitution and the oath of his office and be fair and give everybody an equal opportunity to become a homesteader with 2 acres of land and $8,000 for educational purposes and so on? Or do you believe that he will move as he has moved with his red Rowley jersey? It's up to y'all. Wade Marks slammed them with that. Stuart Young said the government did not pay for the CNN interview. Yes, that could be true, small pin. But somebody organized the interview. Maybe somebody paid, maybe somebody didn't. But it certainly wasn't Quest. Quest did not know you, does not know you. CNN knows not about you. You are the worst performing Minister of Energy and Government in the history of the energy sector. You are not a global player. So let's hear what you said. So you didn't pay for it. Okay. Taxpayers didn't pay for it, right? Like how taxpayers paid for a contract into Venture Credit Union and so, right, we know that we can. Okay. So taxpayer money didn't pay CNN. Good. Truthful. Yes. Now you didn't say that some other private benefactor and so on didn't pay, right? You just say taxpayers, but no big thing. Right. But then Young, you overtalk. Young asserted that no money was paid to CNN International for the interview and believed TNT attracted attention after participating in several international energy conferences. Wait. This man say, they must talk this with confidence, you know. Because CNN reached out to me and my office asking whether I'd be prepared to participate in such an interview. They reach out for you for what? For collapsing the energy sector? For negotiating in Houston and causing Point Lisa's 11 companies to shut down? They reached out to you to know why the hell would a country shut down a refinery and lose billions of dollars? What they wanted to interview you to see, how the hell a dunce could reach so high up as a Minister of Energy? What were they calling you to do? To see that NGC made a loss for the first time since 1993 under your government's watch? To see what? That NGC had wasted $233 million on Atlantic Train 1 when the 90% shareholders said they weren't doing anything with that? What exactly inspired CNN to call you because of your great performance? You see, I could see them calling Usain Bolt. I could see them calling Dylan Carter. I could see them calling Nicholas Puran. I could see them calling the CEO of Ansa McCall, 89% profit. I could even see them calling PNM Gervais Warner because Massey Group was doing well and then they had a cyber attack and so on. That could be newsworthy. What the hell they call you for, small pin? To ask you how Asha Javid going? Who you feel you? He continued. CNN reached out to me and my office asking whether I'd be prepared to participate in an interview. You see, that is on the direct heels of some of the international conferences that I have been attending along with the Prime Minister. On some occasions, we are telling Trinidad and Tobago's story. You're telling the story, but the story is a nightmare. This story is a crime novel. This story is a murder of an energy sector by incompetent idiots. This story is about corruption and graft. This story is about taking man out of court who made investments that caused a refinery to be shut down, and a next man who was producing so much oil that it was incredibly increases, and a next man who flee, who was a candidate in Superior, and then there was an arbitration, and then a man, Prime Minister, personal lawyer, went, yes, Hollywood could call all you. I believe if Hollywood call all you to make a movie about Rowley's PNM, yes, that would make exciting viewing, because people could not believe that enough citizens could vote for something like that. He said, based purely on credibility and a request to this government. Young added that the interview was well received by international oil and gas companies, and he vowed to keep going. But then, small pin, answer me this. Since you said Quest and his team, his producers and CNN reached out to you. Now we don't know why, because you went to some conferences. How come Quest didn't know you? How come Quest didn't know nothing about Trinidad and Tobago? How come Quest did not know that Trinidad and Tobago had energy, that was a player in the energy sector? How come he didn't know if he reached out? Run it, Archie. He feel we didn't pay attention. Run it.
actually, I'll be quite honest, I had no idea really that TNT was such a huge, such a big player in this, and I'm delighted that we've covered it tonight. We learn something new every day, sir. I'm grateful. Thank you.
He never knew, but he called you. Hey boy, they never just believe the lies them as he telling, you know. Female cop charged with shoplifting. But here what first of all, police officer, DCP Jacob, you're going good, boy. A female police officer charged with shoplifting. But here what the poor lady was thieving. 2 packs of fish fillet, 2 packs of barfi, 4 packs of seasoning, 1 pack of kurma, and a pack of tulum. A police officer. That's the economy that the PNM has us in. Busy first few days for the Venezuelan envoy. Yes, boy, Small Pin and Rowley all excited about more Maduro magic, and the president, she woke up, you know, Archie, from her slumber to go off to the Queen's Jubilee. All right, President Paulo Maywicks, you went off to the Queen's Jubilee. We'll go over there and explain to her how you could not read Section 123.4 and you've left your country in the arms of torture and criminals and no leadership, and the police service is crumbling. Why don't you tell the Queen that at her Jubilee, that Trinidad and Tobago selected a hibernating bear as president? Hell at the heliport. Migrants' lawyers claim abuse. Mother wants answers. The lawyers want answers. Put up a picture, baby in Coast Guard, killed in Coast Guard drama. Elvis, Santoyo Saravia. Where the inquest, where the investigation? A baby's brain, this cute baby blown, his head blown off. But y'all don't want to know. Bo don't want to know. Vassan don't want to know. Nobody ain't want to know the truth, and DPP called upon to act. Attorneys representing Venezuelan national Elvis Saravia, whose 1-year-old baby was shot dead by the TNT Coast Guard last February, are calling on the Director of Public Prosecutions to initiate criminal proceedings or investigations into the matter. This is because attorney Kristen Williams, one of the family's legal representatives, believes recent evidence points to a cover-up in the matter. There is evidence of witness tampering. There is evidence that witnesses to the matter were removed from TNT without being interviewed. There's also direct statement from the TTCG that they have not done any investigation into the matter. What about the Chief of Defense Staff? No investigation, nothing. A baby dead. All you happy with that? Divers, where the divers? Who let the divers drown? How long they stayed under their suffering? And Newman George and your wife pelting out Saddam Hussein out the parliament? Hines denies reports of abuse of minors at heliport facility. So all over Trinidad and Tobago, children are being abused and battered. A 307-page report. And then this clung Hines, when David Nakid asked him in the Senate yesterday, where you're going to move the 3 children from the allegations of abuse at the heliport, what home you're going to put them in light of the report that came out about the homes under state care, state funding. You know what Hines asked David Nakid? What report you talking about? Opposition Senator David Nakid asked whether, given the appalling conditions outlined in the report about the Children's Authority, Hines was in a position to say which children's homes the 3 children would be placed in. Hines said it was a banal question and misguided question, and asked Nakid to respond with some specificity as to what appalling conditions he was speaking about. He was speaking about the Judith Jones report that Cabinet received on December 13, 2021, where children at homes funded by you, your cabinet, your government, were murdered, battered, raped, beaten, burned with cigarettes, abused, extortion, both Trinidad and Venezuelan children. That's the report he's talking about, Fitzgerald at Talbot, sickening Lagoon Hines. Okay? Now, Archie, I'm going to do a little different here. I hope all you share the live, because if by the end of this, y'all don't call for the immediate removal of Keith Christopher Rowley as Prime Minister of the Republic of Trinidad and Tobago, and his entire government, then something is wrong with you. If all that I've said before has not led you all there to realize that unity is necessary and we have to use every legal means to get rid of Keith Christopher Rowley as Prime Minister, well then this here is the final nail in his political coffin. I'm going to start at the truth and work backwards. Imagine I have to do that because Rowley lies so much, so blatantly. He's so pathological. And the more he lies, the more he shouts. So let's start with the truth. The truth is that the Bastio Pandey-led government back in 1997 instituted a commission headed by Mr. Sabga with other commissioners to do a report on children's homes in Trinidad and Tobago. That report became known as the Sabga Report. It was chaired by Mr. Robert Sabga. He gave that report to the Prime Minister Bastio Pandey, and Bastio Pandey, the UNC Prime Minister, laid the report in Parliament. He made the report public. The police had sight of the report. Furthermore, Bastio Pandey and the government instituted from the report, which, unlike what some people are saying, did not name names and so on, except for one security guard and one nun. But that was irrelevant. The government, the United National Congress government, laid the report in Parliament and immediately set in motion actions coming out of the report. Actually put up the laws that came out from the 97 report, Sabga Report. Here are some of the bills and laws that were brought to the Parliament by Bastio Pandey, Ramesh, Lawrence Maharaj, Kamla Prasad Visesa. The Children's Authority Bill 1999, which meant that the entire concept of the Children's Authority came out of the Robert Sabga Report by Bastio Pandey and the UNC. The Children's Amendment Bill 1999, the Adoption of Children Bill, the Miscellaneous Provisions Children Bill, the Community Residential Foster Homes and Nurseries Bill, all 1999 under Bastio Pandey. The bill was laid in Parliament. How do we know that? Because, well, first of all, let me say, let's go through now what Keith Christopher Rowley said. Actually, no. Let me continue with the truth. So we know that it was laid in Parliament. We see also the Hansard from Ramesh Diosra, and you could put up that also, Archie, if you get it. But more importantly, you put this picture, but there's also an image, a Hansard of his, that leave him there for now. But Camille Robinson Regis, who is now the minister, me I know what ministry she in charge of now, housing or something, right? But she is the lead government official in the Parliament, the leader of government business. Robinson Regis, after Diosaran, this gentleman, independent Senator Ramesh Diosaran, after he spoke about the Sabga Report, and he spoke about it on the Hansard in November 19, 2000, Independent Senator Professor Ramesh Diosaran spoke of the existence of the report and invited then Minister of Legal Affairs Camille Robinson Regis to read it. Diosaran was speaking during a debate on a bill to amend the Children's Authority Act. He said, and he spoke about it, he said the gentleman who did the report under the Ministry of Social Development was Mr. Robert Sabga, who had a destiny of his own. And he said that the government is busy with the legislative aspects of this problem in terms of the substantive issue of children care. And he went on. He read the report in detail, analyzed it, because it was laid in Parliament. It was not hidden. It was not, copies were not destroyed. It was there in the parliament for all who could read, remember, and see. For all those who are not suffering from dementia to know that it was there. The UNC and the Bastille Pandey brought laws based on reading and the terrible acts that were in that report. They brought a slew of legislation. And there we have, it was laid in parliament. We appointed a committee which was headed by Dr. Robert Sabga to investigate homes in this country. I think this is Manohar Ramsaran. And that report is somewhere in the parliament. It was laid in parliament, right? And he went on to discuss it. Furthermore, come back to me, Archie. Camille Robinson Regis, after responding in the Senate to Professor Ramesh Diosran, said, she acknowledged the existence of the report and told the Senate it was being used by the then government to inform policy. And I now quote from her Hansard, because this was printed in The Guardian, page 9. Now this is a front page story to show that the Prime Minister is a dastardly liar. But one newspaper prints it, and they print it on page 9. Listen to the Hansard of then Minister of Social Development of the People's National Movement government, Camille Robinson Regis, in responding to Professor Ramesh Diosran's discussion and discourse on the Robert Sabga report, which was laid in Parliament. In fact, that particular Sabga report, says Camille Robinson Regis, was used by the then Ministry of Social Development to examine all the issues as they related to the care of children. The issues that were raised in that report were very revealing in the circumstances where our society had depended on a number of foster homes to ensure care for our young children and for children who had suffered abandonment by their families. That report did in fact inform quite a number of the policies that were developed during that period, especially as they related to the United Nations Convention on the Rights of the Child, Robinson Regis told the Senate. Also, Hansard reports also showed the report was raised again on June 2nd, 2006 by former Minister of Social Development Manohar Ramsaran during the debate on the appropriation bill. We appointed a committee which was headed by Robert Sabga to investigate homes in this country, and that report is there in the parliament. It was laid in parliament, said Manohar Ramsaran. But yet, the Prime Minister moved this man, put back Keith Christopher, pathological lying Rowley. The Prime Minister of Trinidad and Tobago does the following. Now keep in mind that he has been the Member of Parliament for Dago Martin West since 1991. So, when all the abuse and children and the PNM went from 1956 to 1986 and then 1991 to 1995, and abuse was going on in homes and so on, he is a Member of Parliament. He was a Senator in 1987 and then a Member of Parliament for Dago Martin West in 1991 to 95. He was also the Member of Parliament for Dago Martin West in 1995 to 2001, right? When the Sabga report was laid in the Parliament. He was seated there. You understand? He was there when it was put there. It was laid in Parliament. Yet this clown, this liar, this disgusting excuse for a human being says the following. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley yesterday issued the public call to the acting police commissioner McDonald Jacob as he disclosed he was now advised. He was not now advised, this is Express page 5, Tuesday, 17 May, that the Justice Judith Jones Committee sought diligently to get access to the Sabga report, but even their best efforts could not provide them with a copy from the source. So he is saying, and Justice Judith Jones, you and your committee need to answer. He is saying that you, Judith Jones, looked for the Sabga report up and down all over and you could not find it. Judith Jones, Honorable Justice, Chairperson of the Police Service Commission, the Prime Minister said that you and your committee searched high and low
And the Sabga report, the Robert Sabga report, you could not find it. Judith Jones, do you see this? There's the report. There's a member of the Robert Sabga Commission. Do you see what she's holding in her hand? A report. So Judith Jones, the Prime Minister, said that you search. You mean you did not call former Senator Diana Mahabir Wyatt, who was a member of the commission? You mean you didn't call Robert Sabga and get a copy of the report? Because the Honorable Prime Minister is stating here that you, Judith Jones, Honorable Judith Jones, that the Commissioner McDonald Jacob disclosed that he was now advised that the Judith Jones, so DCP Jacobs, you too, he put all you in it. So DCP Jacobs, this man said that you told him that Judith Jones and them could not find this report? Really? Rowley said that the public called to acting Police Commissioner McDonald Jacob as he disclosed that he was now advised that the Justice Judith Jones Committee sought diligently to get access to the Sabga report, but even their best efforts could not provide them with a copy from the source. So they couldn't just call Sabga. Boxer Potts find Sabga. Boxer Potts on in the ring in Guyal find Sabga. But Judith Jones Committee and Task Force could not find Robert Sabga, and they could not find Diana Mahabir Wyatt, but the Newsday photographer found it though in less than 2 hours. And there she is sitting down with a copy. So Judith Jones didn't know to check in Parliament where it was laid. Judith Jones, that brilliant, intelligent woman. You see, when you're lying, you must not put people into your lie. Rowley continued. He said in a Facebook post, the Prime Minister expressed shock and anger about reading about the Sabga report in the media. The Sunday Express reported exclusively, and Express are coming to you because you are sick as this pathological liar. But you have deep pockets, and you going and get a slew of lawsuits coming. Just now I'll deal with you, Express. The Sunday Express reported exclusively on the content of the 25-year-old report, which was never laid in Parliament. Really? It was never laid in Parliament. Manohar Ramsaran said it was laid in Parliament. It was laid in Parliament. Ramesh Diosaran, independent senator, was debating and discussing it being laid in Parliament. And also Camille Robinson Regis Express spoke about it here. Look, the Guardian have it right here in her debate as she was a PNM minister back then of social development. She spoke in detail about the report that had been laid in Parliament. Express, brilliant journalism, Express. Rowley stated that through the local media, he is now discovering that there was or is a Sabga report produced by investigators who inspected and collected information. So, Bossman, where you was? You wasn't in the Parliament? 1997, 98, 99, 2000, 2001, 2002, 2003, 2004, 2005, 2006, 2007. You wasn't a member of Parliament for Diego Martin West. So either something drastically wrong with you, or you are a nasty liar, boy. The report was laid in Parliament, and you are telling the people as Prime Minister, you are now learning about this Sabga report? When you have a Judith Jones report, Justice Jones report on your desk since December 13, 2021, and you have done nothing, and children are still being in the hands of murderers, rapists, batterers, assaulters, abusers, and you do nothing? So you now hearing, so you wasn't in the Parliament. That was another, you bipolar, or you are multiple split personality. That was another Oreo lion clown, not you. Okay, let's continue. Rowley said, I am shocked, scandalized, and angry as a result of what I have read in the local media, where some of our worst suspicions appear to have been long confirmed, and known perpetrators have been protected and aided by persons and institutions known and unknown. Yes? You're so shocked and scandalized? You weren't shocked and scandalized by the Judy Jones report that you have since December 13, 2020, and you have done nothing. But let's go now to the other one, Express newspaper. And if editors and reporters and those who did this are not fired, and if apologies are not forthcoming in the most meaningful and prominent manner, Express, good luck to you. I'm going long tonight, don't worry. I'm taking my time. Actually bring some water for your boy. This is the Express editorial. Monday, 16th May 2022. Sabga Report scandal, says the Express. It is bad enough that former Social Development Minister Manohar Ramsaran and the Pandey administration failed to act on the dynamite findings of the Sabga Task Force report into children's homes and institutions back in 1997. Failed to act? We just showed you how they acted. They laid the report in Parliament. The Children's Authority and a slew of legislation came out of the Robert Sabga report. The report was given to the police. The report was a public document. The report was laid in Parliament. It was debated, and a lot of child protection issues and laws and legislation came forward. But the Express, so you start off with a false, dishonest, disgusting premise, and you're calling people names. Manohar Ramsaran and Pandey, so far, there are 2 lawsuits already. Let's see if we can get some more lawsuit for you. Ramsaran, this marks him out as having been completely unfit for the job. So a former minister who did his job, you concoct and lie on a man and then state in an editorial that this marks him out as having been completely unfit for the job. In what universe, we wonder, is the willful decision to condemn children to abuse and torture not malicious? The dangerous and antediluvian thinking demonstrated by Ramsaran has condemned generations of children in state care to horrific physical and psychological abuse and torture. Had the Pandey administration acted on the Sabga report with the urgency required, the scourge of physical and sexual abuse existing in children's homes today would have been eradicated, if not completely, then substantially. Instead, the government, meaning the Pandey government, this is the Express, buried it in a massive state cover-up for which Ramsaran, then Prime Minister Bastio Pandey, then Attorney General Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, and the rest of the cabinet, including current opposition leader Kamla Prasad Bisesa, the then Legal Affairs Minister, must now account. No, Express, you must now account for your defamatory, disgusting, nasty lies to attack the characters of citizens who have served this country at the highest level. 2 former prime ministers, Attorney General, Minister Manohar Ramsaran, one of the best sports ministers ever. The report was laid in Parliament. Put back up those bills. Action was taken. There was no cover-up. There was no massive state cover-up. This is the worst attack and defamatory editorial in the history of Caribbean journalism. The Children's Authority Bill 1999 came out of the Sabga Report. The Children Amendment Bill 1999. The Adoption of Children Bill. The Miscellaneous Provisions Children Bill. The Children's Community Residences, Foster Homes and Nurseries Bill. So where do you get your lies from that the report was hidden and a massive state cover-up and calling and defaming people like Bastille Pandey, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, Manohar Ramsaran and the entire cabinet? So Kwai Tong and Yet Ming and all of them, Jolene John, all of them, you calling in this lie express? It wasn't done there. Until she explains her own inaction. Well, you're gone more on Kamla Prasad because you're being unmasked now. I knew it all the time, but now the entire country knows it. So now the Express creates a false position, fabricates and lies in the most dastardly, because any human being, just like what is happening now with this one, who would sit on a report or hide a report and don't take action, is vile. They don't deserve to be in any form of leadership. This man has sat on a report since December 13, 2021. Express, you care about that. You going to lie and concoct and create a cover-up and then blame the UNC and then come now to attack the current leader of opposition and former prime minister and the next prime minister of Trinidad and Tobago, when people start to realize that these newspapers, you, Express, have now gone to the head of the corrupt, disgusting class. And you have lawsuits coming from Bastille Pandey, Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, Manohar Ramsaran and Kamla Prasad Bisesa, because they continued. Until she explains her own inaction in 1997, Mrs. Prasad Bisesa will lack the moral authority to castigate the Rowley government for its handling of the recent Justice Judith Jones report into children's homes, while her demand for justice for today's abused children will ring hollow and reek of political opportunism. Well, if that is not the most defamatory, disgusting, nasty attack I have ever seen, I don't know what is. Because every citizen knows that Kamla Prasad Bisesa loves children more than anything. When you look at her style in government, her cabinet notes, her emphasis, she put her money where her mouth is, where there's children life fund, children, baby grant, baby mothers, single mothers, differently abled children, children grants for school for differently able, increase in sport funding for children across the board, culture, opportunities, laptops, building 106 schools, Montessori schools, increased payment for teachers, children opportunities, MIC across the board, increased gate funding. Kamla Prasad loves children, and you have defamed and attacked her where it hurts the most. Express, this is the most sick piece of nasty lying journalism I have ever seen, and it wasn't done there. All of this concocted lies, and it shows the nastiness. So Express, you couldn't check the Hansard. You didn't even call Robert Sabga and say, well, where the report? You didn't call Diana Mahabia Wyatt. There's a cover-up. Look, the report there. So this lady would be involved in a cover-up also, this lady here, who spent her life fighting for children. Express, just to attack the UNC, that's the level you will go to? I'm continuing. Sunday Express exclusive report. When the Pandey government was faced with the explosive findings of the Sabga report, it opted against laying the report in Parliament. Really? Who wrote this? Who wrote this? And instructed all task force members to destroy their copies? Really? What's this? This is the Newsday front page, Wednesday, 18 March 2022. Express, what's this that Miss Diana Mahabir Wyatt, patriot. If she has not received the Order of Merit of Trinidad and Tobago, she will receive the Order of Merit of Trinidad and Tobago. One of the classiest, heartwarming, patriotic, soul-searching, our kind of Mother Teresa, this lady here. She's holding the report in her hand. But you are writing in your editorial that Pastor Pandey instructed members. Robert Sabga Report, he reading out and so on with boxer pots on in the ring. Dana, you are saying that former Prime Minister Bastio Pandey and the UNC instructed task force members to destroy their reports? Really? Actually, zoom in here, man. Zoom in here for the Express. Zoom in. And she also said in the article, all could come, she have a thing. Nobody, Rowley, nobody call her. Nobody call her. She said she willing to give them the report. That is a copy there. Right? But nobody, DCP Jacob, nobody couldn't find it. They said Judith Jones couldn't find it. None all you could find. Look, the lady here, she was on the committee. All it took was one little phone call. And she don't hide. This is a lady who's been in the public eye, fighting for children, fighting for citizens. That's a patriotic woman. So Express continued. Sunday Express exclusive report. When the Pandey government was faced with the explosive findings of the Sabga report, it opted against laying the report in Parliament and instructed all task force members to destroy their copies, effectively shutting down the investigative initiative. As legal advisor to the Pandey cabinet in 1997, Attorney Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj owes the country an explanation for his decision. You Express owe the country an explanation for your lies and vile defamatory statements written and penned in an editorial without an iota of checking, damaging people's reputations. This is disgusting. Ramesh Lawrence Maharaj, Basdio Pandit owe you nothing. You will owe them millions. Kamla Prasad said, owe you nothing. You will owe her millions. Manohar Ramasarando owe you nothing. You will owe them millions because of your insane love for this miscreant teacher who had sex with a girl of school age. Continuing, the Express says, it does not explain the failure to send the Sabga report to the police for investigation, while immediately rescuing the children from the state-funded snake pit of abuse and torture. Really? Laid in Parliament, public document, legislation, police had it, everybody have it, task force have it. What you need to be asking is whoever was the police commissioner, what did they do? Because the report did not name names except for one security guard and a nun. Okay? So you have to go back and see who was the commissioner of police then. What did they do with the report? Where did their investigations go? Where did it lead? A government, Bastio Pandey, the UNC is not the government, the police. Rowley feel he's the police. He is bringing Miss Kate and paying money and telling the DCP what to do, where to go, who to charge and so on. That's not the normal functioning of an independent police service. Pandey, the executive, did their job. They got the report. They laid it in Parliament. They took legislative action. They took actions to try to improve the lot. That's their job. The police, you have to go and ask them what did they do when they received the report. Because they did. It's laid in Parliament. What nonsense are you printing? And then the Express says, we may never know what impact that seminal failure had on the children of 1997 and others who have since followed them into state care. But they are all owed an apology as a start of restitution. You owe so many apologies for this disgusting bag of lies, this defamatory, fabricated, disgusting, and in the most vile manner, because to attack human beings at the very core of humanity, that they would be and hide a report that is But I can't even say it. That's what you're accusing Pandey of, Ramesh Lawrence Barrage, Manohar Ramsar, and Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and the cabinet of the UNC Express. You all should be fired. All. It ain't done there now. Rowley, on the heels of this nastiness now, because he and the Express are the same pathological, dishonest liars. So he was bolstered by this Express fabrication and his lack of recollection. Well, then he should resign because he's senile. Or his abject total lies once again because he was in Parliament when it was laid, debated, and all of that. So Rowley then went on now. Prime Minister slams the UNC on children's issue. The Prime Minister quoted liberally from the Express. You see? See what I say? He quoted liberally from this piece of nonsense. So you, Klong, you get your court clothes ready too. The Prime Minister quoted liberally from the Express editorial of Monday, saying it was the most damning condemnation of office holders ever seen in an editorial. Yes, it was. There's one problem, dum-dum. It wasn't true. It was lies. And thanks for adding to the money that the Express will have to pay to all of those former office holders and current office holders. It wasn't an overnight situation. It was an ongoing kind of chronic situation, simmering where these homes had issues and where we put a team in place to put our fingers on the pulse of it. The team reported on December 13th. This is talking about the Judith Jones report, December 13th. We gave the report to the government departments to look at immediately, and the government in March. So December to March, nothing. Took a decision to lay it in Parliament. Laid in Parliament in April, no action. Children being killed, battered, raped, abused, beaten, and burned. And this is this Klong saying that he had a discussion. What was being said and published by the media, which appears to have a copy of the report, was that people, some of whom were in the UNC government, had information of criminal conduct perpetrated against those unfortunate children, and they hid the report. Really? Hid the report? Yes, you and the Express. Huh? You and the Express, all you're going down together. Well, they didn't hide the report, King Dodo Head. Look the report right there. Okay? King Liar. He continued. He said he asked the Commissioner of Police to immediately seek to find that report. And if the report on being found shows there are people who have broken the law, they should be prosecuted to the full extent of the law and not come to Parliament and wherever else they go and talk nonsense about this government's urgent. Well, you should fire your Commissioner of Police because look the report right there, one phone call. And you should fire your flipping self too because you wouldn't talk such nonsense and defame people and attack people based on an editorial by your Express, the PNM Express. That is the kind of wickedness that we are living in Trinidad and Tobago, he said. And you know who led the charge today, Madam Speaker? The leader of the opposition, talking about the infamous Sabga Report. Madam Prasad Bisesa, where's your conscience? Asked this evil Lekoto Jambi. Madam Prasad Bisesa, where's your conscience? The Prime Minister asked. She was Minister of Legal Affairs at the time, being accused now by the national newspaper's editorial of hiding the report. Yes, your national newspaper is going to court and is going to lose millions of dollars. You fool! You might be a little safe because you went in Parliament. You have parliamentary privilege, like when you went with Emailgate and lie. But express yourself. Yeah, you wasn't in Parliament, Express. This outside. Okay. Remember, he is a parliamentary confirmed liar. He know, right? Because he knew of the report, because he has been in that Parliament, Diego Martin West, since 1991, 31 years. Including all the debates.
Every single one, all the legislation brought by Pandey and them 5 pieces, he was in the debate. He was in the debate. When Camille Robinson Regis was debating and talking about the report, he was in the debate. When Manohar Ramson was discussing the report, he was there, sitting down there, with his scarf looking like a big double-stuffed Oreo. She was the Minister of Legal Affairs at the time, being accused now by the national newspaper's editorial of hiding the report. Yes, it is infamous because the government of the day stands accused of insensitive conduct, seeing people who have been involved or who are accused of being involved of committing heinous acts against people and ensuring that the report is destroyed or hidden so deeply. Really, the report did not even mention other than a security guard, and not by name, but position, and a nun, first and foremost. And secondly, look, the report, hidden and destroyed. You big dotish lying clown, your teacher who had to get pum-pum from a little girl, a girl of school age. You who don't even take care of your outside children, you're taking picture with your inside children. You attacking Kamla Prasad Bisesa, you miscreant, your nastiness. You don't even know about prophylactics at your old age. He continued. I could not believe, said Rowley, that having gotten on the way they did since we laid the Judith Jones report in Parliament, that these people are now accused of doing this. I would like to ask my colleague from Siparia, did you see this Sabga report? The Prime Minister said. I demand that the Commissioner of Police put a contingent of policemen to go and find this. A contingent of policemen what? To find this? You put a contingent of policemen to do what? Find this? Rowley? Find a contingent of policemen to find this, to define this, the Sabga report, and to interview all who were involved, because any such crime that was committed then is still a crime today and must be pursued to the bitter end, the Prime Minister said. And the country will see who really is proper government for Trinidad and Tobago. Those who got a report in December and laid it in April, he's saying that he's proud of that, you know. He received a report on December 13th and laid it in Parliament in April and has done nothing. When children are still at the mercy of predators, rapists, and killers. He said that straight, with a straight, no problem. Or those who got a report of criminal conduct against our most vulnerable children and hid it to protect themselves and their friends. We go to another clown. Now you see, when you're not bright, you should shut up, Simon de Nobrega. When you're not intelligent, you're lazy, and you know that you got in Fatima because of your color, and you were not bright enough to get into Form 6, and you admit that you're a dunce, then shut up, because you did not know. Simon de Nobrega then jump in based on the express nonsense and his Prime Minister's nonsense. And now Simon de Nobrega, let me tell you why you stupid. You see, Rowley, well, he in his initial point was on Facebook, so he could get sued too. But then the bulk of what Rowley said here was under parliamentary privilege. So this set, which is very defamatory and would increase the punitive damages and so on, this may not be admissible in the court. So only this that he said on Facebook would go. But you so dumb. You ain't do no research. You ain't check for nothing. You just jump out to defend a pathological liar on Facebook. Well, good luck to you. Because Robert Sabga should sue you for that shirt and tie that you carry. You're looking like a slop. This is the best you could dress? Your tie too short. It can't cover your belly. Where that suit going? Where you going, boy? In the parliament or in the labas? But listen to this fool now. The minister in the office of the Prime Minister, Simon de Nobrega, has expressed outrage at Robert Sabga
chairman of the cabinet appointed committee who authored the committee's report on abuse of children 25 years ago. He said, as a parent and a citizen, I cannot reconcile myself to accept that among those who must be made to answer, who must also include those responsible for its suppression, including the author of the report. Son, the report was not suppressed. Look, the report here. The report was laid in Parliament, where you are now the member of Diego Martin Central. Son, you've accused Mr. Robert Sabga wrongfully. You've accused him and accused him of criminal conduct on a public Facebook post, son. You're not too bright. He said, include those responsible for its suppression, including the author of the report, victimologist Robert Sabga. Dinobriga, a minister in the office of the Prime Minister, said, the cover-up of the Sabga Task Force report and subsequent decades of continued abuse of children and minors was a stain on the nation. It's one problem. There was no cover-up, no report was hidden, it was laid in Parliament. Silly fool. This is what the PNM puts into Parliament. That Mr. Sabga would now try to deflect from the responsibility that he shirked in the burying of his own report. Burying of his own report? He did no such thing. Those are serious allegations that attack the very core of a citizen who has a sterling reputation. My brother, get court clothes that fit you better than this, okay? Okay? Maybe you try to apologize and think now, but boy, between you and me, you went so strong and so wrong and so nasty, and it involves children. To abuse children and to hide a report and to allow children to be raped and murdered and killed. There is no defamation greater than that. And you made it without an iota of evidence, without research, without fact, based on lies. You lied on Mr. Robert Sabga. Wow. My goodness. Now, hunt for the offenders, said Rowley. Team to focus on Sabga and Jones' report, says DCP Jacob. Jacob appoints a special team to probe abuse at children's homes. Jacob, you find you're following instructions very well from Rowley. Well, why you don't set up a special team to investigate Rowley on his integrity forms, his B and his Form A with the false information? And Bridgman's the crooked money that's still running that he approved through prime ministerial approval and then went for covering approval. The corrupt HDC contract when he was the Minister of Housing. Iney's Gate and his failure to declare his 468,000 benefit. Why you don't put a special team to investigate that? You only taking instruction from Rowley, DCP Tojam? What about the Aripo farm? He went to check cow, he liked cow. Yeah? What about the ferries? Government, here the Guardian now. And the Guardian is the Guardian of Rowley K-Pax. But the Guardian is the only one print the truth, but they hide it on page 9 when even Camille Robinson Regis know the report was laid in Parliament. The Nobrega, you couldn't even call Camille, say, hey girl, I know you're here struggling to grow and thing, but what about that report? It was really hidden before you go and embarrass yourself on the public Facebook post. Government must make it right for wards of the state. This is the key issue. So forget all this lies, obfuscation, creation of distraction, but express you have money to pay. Rowley, you have money to pay because your Facebook post, and the Nobrega, you too. Government must make it right for wards of the state. Prime Minister Dr. Keith Rowley was reportedly so shocked and scandalized after learning of the contents of a 1997 report into the operations of children's homes on Monday that he called on Acting Police Commissioner McDonald Jacob to solicit a copy of it and take the necessary steps, supposedly to bring those who may have broken any laws to justice. There are many questions that arise from the Prime Minister's response to the details of the report done by Robert Sabga's team. The first, of course, is that we find it astonishing that nobody within the current government seems even remotely aware that this document existed. Let me repeat that. The first, of course, says The Guardian, is that we find it astonishing that nobody within the current government seems even remotely aware this document existed. This is because the Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago was birthed out of some of the recommendations of the 1997 report. You're listening, Rowley, Dinobriga? You're listening, Express? This is because the Children's Authority of Trinidad and Tobago was birthed out of some of the recommendations of the 1997 report, which Sabga and his team did on 10 children's homes for the then Bastio Pandey United National Congress administration, and which was laid in Parliament. Guardian editorial. And Pandey only became Prime Minister late in 1995. The PNM was in charge from 91 to 95. The PNM was in charge from 1956 to 86. So Pandey immediately, on hearing reports of abuse at children's homes, put a committee together to do a report investigation and immediately laid the report in Parliament, put legislation in place, created the Children's Authority and a slew of other legislation to protect children, and Rowley, Dinobriga, and the Express creating lies and fabricating to defame great leaders of this country. Good luck to each and every one of y'all as you read your pre-action protocol letters in the forthcoming days. Ramesh, Lawrence, Maharaj have to answer to you, Express? Really? And it was laid in Parliament. Since then, the Sabga report has been referenced ad nauseum during debates. Debates were in the Parliament. Where was Rowley for the last 31 years? In the Parliament. He is a dastardly liar. Since then, the Sabga report has been referenced ad nauseum during debates on the issue of abuse at children's homes, including in 2000 when independent Senator Ramesh Diosran raised it in discussions on the Children's Authority Bill, eliciting a response from Camille Robinson Regis, who is currently part of Rowley's cabinet. And just as we go further, Boxo Potts in the ring, well done, brought out some very interesting information. Run it, Archie.
Point in time, it was a UNC government. Can you say whether or not any of those persons that were named were part of the UNC government?
I will categorically tell you no. None. You have to remember the UNC had been in office a little over a year. What we ran into was something that was already well established and endemic.
So are you saying that we could assume that they were active members of the PNM government or officials, active members of that party who were part of that
I neither confirm nor deny.
You're not going to confirm or deny, okay. And you know the
I neither confirm nor deny. They say that time is longer than twine.
Yeah. Robert?
One of the key individuals has now shuffled off his mortal coil. He's gone. But one of the other key individuals still holds a very high position. The best clue, I can't speak to this, I cannot call names, but if you recall the story of the young boy who was buggered and who was drowned in a pool.
Akil Chambers.
I didn't say anything, it's these two.
No, Akil Chambers.
The autopsy report on that boy went the same way as our report, because the DNA of 2 of these individuals were found in his body, in his anus at the time. I will say no more.
That's what we're hearing. And if you remember a lady who was a strong PNM and joined the COP and went up in St. Joseph, Sharon Gopal McNichols, go back and research some of the things she was saying and understand that this was endemic by the time Bastio Pandey became Prime Minister, and he immediately acted. And for the Express, Rowley, Simon de Nobrega to be so dishonest, defamatory and wicked, this country has gone to a new low this week in politics, in life, and in general. And I really hope that those individuals, Bastio Pandey, Ramesh Lawrence Maraj, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and Manohar Ramsaran, bring action to protect the rest of us, to protect our country. Bring action against the Express newspaper, against Keith Christopher Rowley on his Facebook post, and Simon de Nobrega on his Facebook post for the defamatory, disgusting attacks on the character that cannot be quantified in money terms. It is nasty, it is disgusting. I told you and I continue to tell you that I detest Keith Christopher Rowley. I do 3 hours, well this show is long, 2 hours, sometimes 4 hours, plus radio, plus Senate, plus interview, plus Monday Night Virtual, plus TNT Speaks. And not 1 second would I ever tell a lie on Keith Christopher Rowley. The man is totally a disgusting human being. All around. I don't need to remind you. But this is a new low for Keith Rowley, for the Express editorial, because these things could have simply been checked. Hansard exists for a reason. It's a meticulous record of truth. These patriots exist. Diana Mahabir Wyatt is just a phone call away. The Express could not call her before they accused a former Prime Minister and his government and a sitting Prime Minister, another Prime Minister, now leader of the opposition, of hiding, of destroying evidence of criminal conduct against the most vulnerable. There is no attack or character assassination that could be worse than that. But look at the report right here. Look at the Hansard, look at the evidence I've given you. The Guardian has said just simply, the report was laid in Parliament, action was taken. And for a newspaper to be so wrong, so false, and to damage people's names and character. And I await tomorrow's paper and the day after to see, but no amount of apologizing, no amount of mea culpa, no amount of sorry could repair the damage done to Bastio Pandey, Ramesh Lawrence Maraj, Kamla Prasad Bisesa, and Manohar Ramsaran by the Express, by Keith Christopher Rowley, and by Simon de Nobrega. And why I say they must take them to court and go the full distance. Because a message must be sent that that's not okay. It could be you, it could be your child, it could be anybody. It's disgusting. Truth must matter. But we have allowed a pathological liar to become Prime Minister on the back of lies. So you've given him free rein, you reward a liar. And then he chooses other liars. And then newspapers who were liars become worse liars. And our country just descends into the chasm of dishonesty, of degradation, disrespect, and nastiness. I hope this has put that to rest. And we focus on the real issue. Which right now, there's a Judith Jones report of children being abused, raped, killed, battered, buggered, right now across Trinidad and Tobago. It is in the hands of the PNM since December 13, 2020. and they have done nothing. Keith Rowley, why on December 13, 2020 did you not put police and army straight into every school mentioned? Remove the security, switch security, cut the funding, change the management, put in CCTV cameras, go and get the police to investigate, instruct DCP Jacobs to go and take witness statements and charge those who were in charge. Why you didn't do that? That's the issue. The Judith Jones report is there. Act and keep our children safe. You all are just disgusting human beings. Look, Archie, let me go before I cuss. Good night.
Okay.